What does the Dark Knight have to do with feeling stuck in your own life? A lot more than you actually think. When we look at Bruce Wayne, spent years hiding behind a mask that was used to protect himself. What happens when that mask becomes who you are? What if I told you the reason that you're feeling stuck is because you're wearing a mask of your own? Let's start to break it down. In The Dark Knight, Bruce's struggle isn't just about fighting crime, it's fighting his identity. He wears this mask to protect himself from the pain of losing parents, but after years of hide behind it, that mask begins to define him. And if you're struggling to feel fulfilled, chances are that, just like with Batman, you're hiding behind a mask that's no longer serving you. And we could go into debates over is Bruce Wayne the mask, is Batman the mask, but the story and what we're going into will explain everything for you anyway. Uh, Bruce Wayne's journey in the Dark Knight starts with not just about being a mass vigilante, it's about identity. Early in the film, Bruce wears a Batman persona to cope with the kind of trauma of his parents' deaths. Creates this version of himself that he believes will protect him from the pain. That big massive fight for justice and to protect others. This is what feels safe. But over time, that mask becomes a bit of a prison. It's no longer just a tool, it's became his full identity that he's wrapped in. The Dark Knight's a brilliant metaphor for the way many of us live our lives today. We wear masks that we will think protect us, help us fit in, meet other people's expectations. We wear masks to survive. But over time, those masks start to become who we are. The version of ourselves that we created to survive becomes the version that's stuck in autopilot, disconnected from our true selves. The lie is that we believe we have to keep wearing the mask. But what happens when we stop? What happens when we unmask ourselves and start living authentically? Then freedom happens. Many of us are performing our lives based on what we've been told we should be, what others expect of us, or what we feel is the right thing to do. But as long as you wear that mask, you can never fully be connected to your truth. It's time to start to unmasking yourself, just like Bruce did eventually. You're not meant to live behind a mask, and you're certainly not meant to wear one that's someone else's identity. So in The Dark Knight, Bruce didn't just wake up one day and decide he's going to be Batman. He became Batman because he was trying to survive. There was a loss to the parents. There's that hauntedness he has by the pain. In his mind, the only way he could protect himself from the dangers of the world was to create a persona, a strong, invincible vigilante who isn't afraid of anything. But survival comes with a bit of a cost. For many of us, we pick up masks in childhood to cope with family dynamics, social expectations, the fear of rejection. We become someone we need to be to survive our environment. Maybe you became the perfect child to gain the approval of your parents, or that super hard worker to prove how worthy you were of others. Or you became a people pleaser to avoid conflict or to feel loved. I know I can fall into many of those categories personally, and I'm sure many of you will as well. But those kind of masks were never meant to define us, they were just meant to protect us. But the more we wear them, the more they shape us into a version that no longer aligns with who we truly are. Bruce became Batman, protect his heart, but over time, that mask became the only version of himself that he really knew. That was who he aligned more with, but that wasn't his true self. And the realization is that you become who you needed to be to survive. But what if that version of yourself is no longer working for you? What if it's time to start shedding that mask and live as your authentic self? And one of the things I like to talk about a lot is sometimes you do need to just knuckle down and go through the grit and get things done. I'm not against any form of hard work. Everything, there's so many things that are hard work. People can sometimes get the words twisted. I say be your authentic self and give up this thing and be who you want to be. But sometimes you need to just grit it out. That's how life is. So we're not taking that away from it before people jump on their high horse. So think about the mask that you've worn over the years. What version of yourself did you create to survive? Was it to fit in? Was it to avoid conflict? Or was it to protect yourself from pain? What would happen if you shed that mask and allowed your true self to step forward? Start by identifying one mask you've been wearing and what it's protecting you from. Because what people don't realize is they've worn that mask for so long that it's no longer needed, but they haven't been able to step out of it. It's particularly present when it comes to a lot of domestic abuse victims. We'll take as an example of being in a relationship where you've had to wear those masks and you've had to be a certain way for survival, but that's no longer applicable. And that's the case with one of my clients. She was in that place where this is how she had to be, this is the mask she had to wear to survive. But now in life, she doesn't need that anymore. So we helped her step away from it. And we talk about survival versus authenticity, the version of you that was protecting you. Bruce's internal struggle is that the Batman mask became so familiar he didn't know how to live without it. The version of himself that he created to survive became the only version he could operate from. But survival isn't living. Survival is just getting through. And that's what Bob is doing on a daily basis. We're just getting through. And as Bruce found out, and many of us are starting to find out, that's not enough to create a meaningful life. The version of you that protected you is likely not the version that will allow you to thrive. You might have become the perfect professional to meet career expectations, the sacrificial partner to keep the peace, or the strong one who hides vulnerability. But what if the role you've been playing for others isn't aligned with who you truly are? What if the version of you that keeps you safe is the very thing that holds you back from building the life you actually want? And we start to think about the mask that we created to protect ourselves as not the real us. It's just a survival tactic that no longer serves its purpose. If we're still in that position where we need it, then we have to look at how can we move away and to the point where we no longer need that mask. And true authenticity comes when you stop performing for others and start living for yourself. So ask yourself, what version of me have I been living as to survive? And how does that version hold me back from living authentically? Today, start to commit to shedding one small piece of that mask, whether it's speaking your truth in a conversation or making a choice that reflects your true self. And that's a big one. People feel that they can't say what they want, so they don't feel heard, and that causes a lot of internal problems as well. In the dark night, Bruce starts to realise that he's been performing his life, not living it. Been playing the role of Batman, but deep down, he's still grieving that loss of parents. He's been too focused on fighting crime to really process his emotions and understand what he truly wants. When we live by shoulds or performing, I spoke last week about the lie of should. So this video should make sense for anyone. If you haven't watched it, go back and check it out. When we live to meet other people's expectations or performing, we disconnect from our desires and we end up feeling resentful, exhausted, and empty. You can be doing all the right things, but if it's not aligned with who you are at your core, you're not really living, you're just performing. If you're feeling resentment, exhaustion, or emptiness, it might be a sign that you're performing your life based on what others expect from you. It's time to ask yourself, who am I when I stop performing? So take a moment today to reflect. Are you living authentically, or are you just performing for the sake of others' approval? Identify one part of your life where you've been performing and make a small change to live more authentically. And the longer that Bruce wore the Batman mask, the heavier it became. It gets to a point where he can't live without it, but he also can't live with it anymore. The mask becomes unsustainable and it starts to wear him down emotionally, mentally, and physically. And living behind a mask takes its toll. It affects your health, your relationships, and your overall well being. At some point, you have to realize that you can't keep going on like this. You can't keep living someone else's life and expect to feel fulfilled. So the mask has to come off. And you might feel stuck or exhausted because the mask you're wearing is starting to weigh you down. You can't feel fulfilled while living someone else's life. And the longer you keep that mask on, the harder it will be to reclaim your true self. So identify the emotional toll that wearing that mask is having on you. Where are you feeling the weight of the mask? What's one small change you can make today to start shedding that mask and living authentically? And at the end of the dark night, Bruce realizes he doesn't need the Batman mask to be himself. He can still fight for justice and be true to his values, but now he can do it as Bruce Wayne, not a persona he created to survive. The real you is under the mask. You're not broken. You're just buried beneath layers of fear, guilt, and society's expectations. But when you unmask yourself, you find freedom, purpose, and authenticity. Under the mask is where your freedom lies. You're not lost, you're just hidden beneath all the layers of shit and fear. And when you unmask yourself, you'll find the real you. And that's where your true power lies. So take one step today to unmask yourself. What's one part of your life where you've been hiding your true self? Make a conscious choice to show up as you, who you really are today, and see how it feels. And if you're ready to stop living someone else's life and reclaim your authentic identity, then you can check out one of the links in the description where you can go over and check out a free course that gives a breakdown how to start structuring and making some of these changes in your life. And just like Bruce, you've got the power to unmask yourself and start living authentically. Stop performing for others and start living for yourself. If this video resonated with you anyway, then leave a comment below with the mask you're ready to shed. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out some of the other videos.